Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Box Score Sports Podcast. In this YouTube clip, we are going to discuss Kyle Kuzma being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks for Chris Middleton. Before we get into our thoughts, let us know down in the comments down below what your thoughts of this trade is. And to break down this trade with me and kind of analyze it a little bit, I have our Milwaukee Bucks fan with us, Clint. Clint, how's it going, man?
It could be better. Sad day. We'll get into it, but it's a sad day when you trade a guy that pretty much almost won you a title with the clutch shots in that playoff run. But there's circumstances that come with it, but you hate to see someone who's been with the team, what, 10, 11 years now,
Yeah.
be traded. But that's what happens.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about it. Okay, so AJ Johnson and Chris Middleton and a 2028 pick swap goes to the Wizards. Did I get that right? Okay, and then
Yep.
the Bucks get Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and a second round pick this coming draft, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's analyze it first from the Wizards side because I think that'll be the quickest, and then we'll get into the Bucks side of this. So, how do you feel about this trade for the Washington Wizards?
They I mean they'll probably flip Chris Middleton or at least try to, but you figure they probably could have got a little more for Kuzma last year.
Hmm.
I think he falls in the category of you hope the guy plays a little better and we can move him. That's why they kind of gave him that contract. So they didn't do terrible. You take a flyer with AJ Johnson, the 28 pick swap is the second. They're behind the Blazers in that pick swap. So the Blazers has first right, then the Wizards, and then the Bucks would have rights to their pick. So it's probably not going to be obviously awesome if they're behind the Blazers in that, but there's a shot at something if the Blazers are good or whatever.
Yeah,
So it's not terrible. It's just meh. See what
mm,
they do from here.
right. Yeah, so do you think they'll swap Middleton for something more?
I think they'll swap him or he might. I don't know if this is possible. I've seen a few things where Middleton could decline his player option and take a buyout
Mm.
and then end up on, a better team opposed to just wasting the rest of the year in Washington. But I do think they'll try to move him if they can unload him.
Yeah, and they might get more assets for him. And then as far as AJ Johnson goes, he was drafted this past year, right? 20 years old. He was kind of a project, so he kind of fits into the timeline of the Wizards. Um, I don't know what your thoughts are on him. He didn't play a whole lot according to like the stats I looked up. So any thoughts on him going forward?
I was a little higher on him as like a project. Obviously, he doesn't fit into the timeline, but it's just another frustrating case of Bucks drafting. Like you go out of the way to draft a guy who's a project, and then you got to you got to use him to dump a contract. Less than ideal when there was some other guy, a little more proven guys you could have got in that range. But at the moment, it's just like a toss in, and who knows? But you know, he can't finish around the rim. Ungodly bad at it right now, but he's quick. Showed a little potential. It's probably nothing, but again, it's another wasted Bucks first round pick.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought that was the big thing on draft night is just the potential that he had in the development, and that's why they got him. But yeah, it's really sad to see Middleton go. So let's look at the Buck side of it. They get Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin, who's irrelevant in the second round pick. Not that Patrick Baldwin, he's only 22, by the way. It's not like he's what he's going to be yet. So it's not like he's irrelevant. He could be something. But let's focus on Kuzma. What do you think the Bucks were thinking about this? Grabbing Kyle Kuzma.
From a personal aspect, I don't know. He's not a great shooter, career 33% shooter. He's having a terrible shooting year this year, like 28%, 60% from the line. I think what they're thinking is he has size 6'10". If you rewind to some of his Lakers days, he played decently on defense, got some rebounds, cut. I think they're thinking of getting a little younger. It gives them a little more versatility. Like Bobby Portis has been gone for personal reasons the last, 5 games, and they can't rebound.
Hmm.
Not that Kyle Kuzma's, a huge rebounder, but he gives you that size. If you play Giannis at the 5, now you got another 6'10" guy on the floor. So I think that's what they're thinking is maybe we can rewind the clock on Kuzma. He'll play a little bit harder. He's on a good team. Apparently, Giannis signed off on it. He's kind of a fan of Kyle Kuzma. I don't know what that says about Giannis, but we'll leave that for another day. But if you can get that type of player, it's probably a small upgrade because Chris Middleton just offered nothing in those regards this
Hmm.
season. He just, you know, injuries have ravaged him.
Yeah, that's the thing that they'll have is the availability that so Middleton's only started 7 games this year. I think he's played in, 20 or something like that, where Kuzma has at least played 30 games. I think we're what, almost 40. We're over halfway in the season. So, I mean, yeah, rebounding, like you said, the early days with the Wizards, he was averaging almost, he had a year where he averaged 8 and 7 rebounds, 6, 8, 7. So maybe they're hoping that some of that will come back. The intensity on the defensive side, like you mentioned with the Lakers, if that comes back a little bit, that offers a little bit of versatility. But he's like you mentioned, a 33% 3-point shooter. This year, he's 28% from the three. So hopefully the trade will ignite him to maybe shoot better. But the problem is like if he doesn't, floor spacing becomes a bigger issue because it kind of takes that flexibility where you could put Giannis at center and Kuzma at the 4, but now your floor spacing with Kuzma and Giannis now is going to hurt you on the offense in the half court.
Yeah, I think if they're going to play him, especially if they're going to start him, then they need to take Andre Jackson out of the starting lineup and put AJ Green in because otherwise, everyone will just be in the paint. But I'm trying to stay optimistic because this does get the Bucks under the second apron. So now they could combine Bobby Portis with Pat Connaughton or Brooke Lopez with Pat Connaughton. Like maybe it takes some of the bad salary stench off of Pat Connaughton if you can combine him with a player that someone finds useful. So I'm trying to remain optimistic because we still got another day, but it's hard to be positive. I just am not a Kyle Kuzma believer, but here we are.
Yeah, you got to talk yourself into him. Him being on the court, is that better than Middleton not being available, though?
That's my fan justification
Your
is
cope,
like
yeah, yeah.
I think I've told you like I think with Chris Middleton having to play, the Bucks are just dead on arrival in the playoffs. Like they look their best when he doesn't play. He can't move side to side. So if Kuzma can be anything better than that, I think you have at least a minimal upgrade. And if he can rewind the clock and put forth some effort, you can see how it works to have a 6'10" guy that you could
Yeah.
switch, especially if you have to play the Celtics. So I think that's the optimization of it. It's just you got to look long and hard to hope that you get that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Now he is only 29, so it's not like he's beyond his prime, like, so there's probably that in him. I think it's hard for people who, even as a fan, like you watch a team losing year after year after year. Like I can't imagine how a player being put in that spot, you know, their desire to go out there every night and just give it their all diminishes. It's got to, especially when you play with Jordan Poole as well. Not that well, Kuzma's a chucker, but so is Jordan Poole, and he initiates the offense. So hopefully for Bucks fans' sake and for the Milwaukee Bucks, this will reignite Kuzma and give him a role that he's comfortable with because it's different yielding to Giannis and Lillard versus Jordan Poole and Alex Sarr or whoever, Valanciunas or whoever you're yielding to over in Washington.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think from early reports, it sounds like there's some kind of connection between Giannis and Kuzma, back channel, whatever. So, maybe this is one of those things where you hope the intensity rubs off and he just needed somewhere where he could have a chance to at least compete.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, give me a grade for each team on this trade.
I think it's just like C's across the board.
Yeah, B minuses I was going to give across the board. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what the Bucks do. They got a second round pick for this year, which is like the second of the most favorable of the Wizards picks. So, that could be something
Hmm.
that they can use. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, if you're a Bucks fan, just go to YouTube, pull up the 2021 playoff run, just admire Chris Middleton's peak, and come back for jersey retirement night in a few years.
Yeah, yeah, or the tribute video when he comes back in whatever uniform he'll be in. Um, Okay, man. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for giving us your take as a Milwaukee Bucks fan. Hopefully it works out for you guys. And for everybody else, I'm going to try to keep up with all the trades coming and making videos. I probably won't do one on like the smaller trades, like KJ Martin went to the Pistons today for like a second round pick or a second round pick or something like that. But anyway, point being is I probably won't do a video on that, even though I am a Pistons fan. But we'll hit some of the bigger or more relevant trades as the next 2 days go on. Thanks, Clint, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video and leave your comments on your thoughts of this trade, Kuzma going to the Washington Wizards. Once again, thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked what you heard, and we will talk to you guys real soon. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.